So this is how we will proceed for tonight. First, there will be an opportunity for each candidate to give a 30-second introduction for themselves. And then I will proceed to give a lightning round where I'll give a question and each candidate will have to give the answer in one word. After that, we'll go to a 30-second response. From there, 60-second response. And then finally, each candidate will be able to ask the other candidate a question. And we'll go through that for 2 cycles for 20 minutes, and then the next candidates for judges will come up. Okay? All right, so beginning with you, Ms. Doralee, if you would take 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
My name is Doralee Chandler. I am here tonight to ask for your vote for the 5th Division Circuit Judge position. This is the position that hears the juvenile and civil matters. I'm the better candidate to hear the juvenile matters because as a mother of 3, I have a unique understanding of their needs. I'm the better candidate for the civil division because for the past 15 years, that's the caseload that I've heard. And so therefore, I welcome the opportunity to answer your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is H.G. Foster. I'm currently your 1st Division Circuit Judge. I'm also running for 5th Division. In my 36 years of experience, I've handled every case that comes before a circuit judge, everything from juvenile court all the way up to death penalty cases. I've tried jury trials in federal court and hundreds of jury trials at the state level. I believe that qualifies me to hold the position. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, now we will proceed to the lightning round. Your answer will be a one-word answer. And so to break the ice, Ms. Doralee, do you like ice cream or frozen yogurt?
Ice cream.
Yes.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. All right. All right. Second question. Have you represented more plaintiffs or defendants?
Defendants.
In my case, plaintiffs. I spent plaintiffs 20 years as the elected prosecuting attorney, among others.
Yes, sir. Next question. Should judges be elected or appointed?
Elected.
Well,
Elected.
next question. Do you believe that judges should have to disclose why they're accused in a case?
Yes.
I think it depends on the case.
One word, sir.
Yes.
That concludes our lightning round, and now we'll proceed to the 30-second responses. Okay? Doralee, what is the most important tool a judge can use in resolving a case?
I think the most important tool the judge can use in resolving a case is to look at the Constitution and follow the meaning of the Constitution and look at the court rules that have been set out by the Supreme Court that governs what can and cannot be heard in a matter. And I think that it's important, most important, for the judges to follow the law as the law is written and apply that to the cases that are before them.
That's fine. Thank you. I agree with Ms. Chandler that the Constitution and the law and the rules of law must control. I believe the most important tool, though, that a judge has to resolve cases is a judge's patience. It's being able to let the plaintiffs, let the defendants say what needs to be said, let the witnesses say what needs to be said, and not rushing them, and being patient with the people. So in terms of the way the question was asked, the most important tool, I would say, is a judge's patience.
All right. Mr. Foster, next question will go to you first. All right. What has been the greatest accomplishment in your personal life?
In my personal life, my greatest accomplishment is my daughter. I don't have to think about that for a moment. Kathleen Foster House is the best thing that I ever had anything to do with in my personal life.
I think the greatest accomplishment in my life is the fact that I have a solid 15-year marriage that's built on happiness that has allowed us the opportunity to have 3 beautiful children that's been blessed by God to us.
Doralee, the next question will go to you. How much freedom should a judicial candidate have to express his or her views?
As a candidate, it's hard for us not to allow y'all to have an opportunity to choose your candidate who would be the best seat because we are limited in what we can and cannot say. The difficulty that we run into as a judge is that you cannot freely express your moral opinions on issues because that prohibits you from hearing those matters in the future. It will allow you to require you to follow the law and apply the law despite your moral beliefs.
Well, Canon 2.10 of the Judicial Rules of Ethics provide that a judge or a candidate for a judicial position cannot offer their opinion on anything that might end up in front of them, basically. It's paraphrasing. So we are limited as to what we can say. And I think that that's a positive thing, because when you have judges or judicial candidates talking about how they feel about certain issues and things of that nature, or certain people or groups or that sort of a thing, people are not going to believe that the court is fair when they make their decision.
Thank you very much. Ms. Foster, next we'll start with 60-second responses. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So first question, how would you describe your judicial philosophy?
I believe that, and I thought about memorizing it off of my webpage before I came here tonight, but I really don't have to. My judicial philosophy is that everybody that comes into court should be treated with respect. They should be treated with the dignity that everyone deserves. It doesn't matter whether they're a criminal defendant, whether they're a plaintiff, whether they're a defendant in a civil action, whether they're a litigant in a domestic violence or domestic relations matter. The most important thing is that they be treated with respect, they have the opportunity to be heard, and that the law is applied even-handedly. That is, in essence, my judicial philosophy.
I'll have to agree with him on that. It's very important that you treat people with respect and that the litigants are treated with respect. However, I'd like to add to that, in addition to that philosophy, I'd like to add accountability to the issue. I think it's important that you hold the litigants, the attorneys, your staff, and everyone involved in a case accountable, because every case is important to every person. And so it's important that you have the cases moved and that you show that there is accountability and you take care of the people as the people should be taken care of.
Doralee, next question goes to you. You have 1 minute to answer. What federal court decision do you think has most impacted our society and why?
I think the most important case that has impacted our society is the Wicker case. It's a first case that interpreted the Commerce Clause. It's the case that allowed the federal government to essentially say that intrastate commerce is touching on interstate commerce, therefore they can come in and regulate issues that are within the state. And a prime example, and while it's not all bad of what they have done, but a prime example is some of the domestic relations and convictions cannot carry firearms. The federal government has regulated that through the Commerce Clause. My issue is, why would it not be a state issue to control? Is it a good issue? Yes, but why is the federal government controlling it as opposed to the states controlling it? And so the Commerce Clause has been expanded. The Wicker case initiated with a debate over wheat and whether or not they could regulate the wheat and the extra wheat that was not for market. And so it opened the doors to allow them to come in and start controlling.
Well, this is almost, I feel like it's almost a softball question. I believe that in modern times, the most important case, or the case that impacts us the most, and has caused the most controversy, is Roe versus Wade, because it is the case that involves the federal government saying what can be done and what can't be done with someone's individual body. And it goes to the very heart of who we are as people and who we are as human beings. And like I say, it almost seems like a throwaway thing, Roe versus Wade, of course. Well, but those are the reasons that I think that it is so important, and those are the reasons that I think it is the case that is impacting our society the most today.
Thank you very much. At this time, Ms. Foster, you're able to ask Doralee a question to her. Any questions? And Doralee, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, I thought about that. And the fact of the matter is, there's only 2 reasons I would ask Ms. Chandler any questions. One would be if there's something about her that I wanted to know, and I think I'm going to hear a lot. I don't think I have anything I want to know that I need to ask. And the other reason would be is if I wanted to ask a question, and quite frankly, might throw an embarrassing answer, and I have no interest in doing either one of those things. So with all respect and appreciation for the opportunity, I'll defer the answer of 2 questions. Thank you.
Doralee, your opportunity to ask Ms. Foster a question.
Well, I guess intendedly I probably should reciprocate his kindness. However, I do have a question that I really want to ask. You recently had a budget go before to be approved. And I guess my question is, can you explain to us why your budget has the highest % and dollar increase of any of the other judicial budgets?
A lot of it has to do with the fact that when I was appointed by Governor Beebe a year and a half ago, there were an awful lot of changes made in the docket division agreement. First division had traditionally been first division in their criminal cases. The docket division agreement that went into place when I took office changed that. And it gave the First Division all responsibility for all the domestic violence cases, 55% of the domestic relation cases, and many other cases that require more personnel and more time. That's a short answer.
All right. Doralee, we begin our second cycle, and you get to ask your opponent another question.
I guess for my second question, is kind of budget related as well. How do you defend spending county tax dollars to put in place a daycare for the children when the state already has in place a daycare for the victims of children where they monitor them and provide them with guidance?
I can justify it because it's a different concept. The photographs that I was passing out of our children's room that is staffed primarily by interns from Hendricks and some from UCA and volunteers from my old victim assistance program that I had when I was prosecuting attorney. It provides a safe environment. The children are all children who are involved in custody matters. They are not potential juvenile defendants. They are not children who are necessarily victims of criminal action. So the type of young people who are there are different, and the provisions for the protection are different.
Mr. Foster, next question goes to you.
Yes, sir.
60-second response. What do you want to accomplish as a judge?
60 seconds, eh? I was the elected prosecuting attorney for 20 years, and it was absolutely wonderful. I had the opportunity to write the grant that started our drug task force. I had the opportunity to write the grant that created the victim witness program. I had the opportunity to start many programs. I had the opportunity to work with a special team on the prevention of domestic violence. When I left the prosecutor's office, I went to work in the state of Arkansas as the state special prosecutor. I no longer had the opportunity to implement programs, to implement new ideas and make changes in the system that would benefit the people who are to be served by the system. When I made the decision to seek the appointment, I did it because I wanted to do the job of judge, and I wanted the opportunity to bring some of the programs and some of the ideas that I had as prosecutor back and put them into place, like the children's room, like the reinvigorated special team on the domestic violence, and various other programs that we have tried to implement. So what I want to do as judge, number one, is a good job for the people who pay for the system, and number two, bring my experience for the benefit of the people who are in the system.
Doralee, same question.
What do I want to accomplish as your judge? This is the juvenile civil division, and it's very important to me, and I picked this division because of that division. It's important to me as a mother to show the children of this district that they have to be accountable for their actions. And so I want them to be able to be reformed. I want to work with the youth to show them that there's a different path other than following their parents' paths, which is what most of them are doing. So you have to give the children an opportunity to do good, to reform them, and that's the desire I have for this division, is to reform the youth so that they do not grow into adult criminals, because the crime level will only escalate as they increase in age. And so that's what I'd like to do with this division. And I also picked it because of the civil division, because I want to continue to improve the civil division and bring accountability to the division and integrity. I think it's important that the people trust their judges and that there's integrity back in the seat, so they will know that we're looking out for the interests and following the law as the law is written.
All right, Doralee, next question to you. Please describe what you believe are the most significant issues in your race.
I think the most significant issues in our race is what we intend to do when we get on the bench. The significant issues of what kind of dedication we have, the passion that we have for the job that we're seeking. And in this instance, I think it's important to have passion for the youth, to have a dedication that you're going to maintain and keep the juvenile division as the juvenile division, and to improve it and continue to move on forward and bring improvements and everything back to the juvenile division, and devote your time to the youth as well as controlling the civil section and showing the guidance and accountability that needs to be done on the civil section.
Mr. Foster.
Well, I think that the fact that for 8 years I was the juvenile deputy prosecuting attorney, the deputy who handled all juvenile court. For 20 years I oversaw all the juvenile prosecutions and juvenile cases that the prosecutor's office handled in 3 counties. And that since for the last year and a half I've worked with cases that involve children. I've worked with domestic violence cases, I've worked with domestic cases, divorces, custody, things of that nature. And I believe that I can bring all that to the table. I believe I can use that for the benefit of our young people. And Ms. Chandler, of course, is correct. Currently, 5th Division has responsibility for juvenile court. However, of course, there's a meeting and the judges decide every year how the docket division is going to be. So right now, 5th Division is juvenile court, and I also want to do juvenile court because we can break that cycle. However, I don't know what circuit court 5th Division is going to have after the first of the year when the judges meet again and shuffle it around, if they do.
Mr. Foster, next question goes to you, and 30-second response. Question, what is the purpose of government?
The purpose of government is to try to enable people to be the best that they can be. The trick for government is to stay out of the way. It is difficult to enable people, it's difficult to lift people up, it's difficult to provide a level playing field for people so they can bring their assets to bear and do the best they can for themselves and their family without getting in the way. So I believe that the most important role of government is to allow people to be what they can be without getting in their way.
Doralee, same question.
The role of government is to protect people's rights. It is to protect the rights to pursuit of happiness without being overly burdened. It's the inalienable rights that should be protected, set out through the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Doralee, next question. Have you ever had your integrity questioned? If so, how did you handle it?
I think as an attorney, you have your integrity questioned every day. When I came out of law school, I cannot believe the number of legal jokes about attorneys and how people believe that attorneys are essentially below pond scum, is what is often said to me. And how I've handled it is I've followed the rules and regulations that are set out for attorneys. I've allowed people to see my integrity as a person and my morals as a member of the Catholic Church. And I've allowed those to show through as opposed to arguing with somebody about the morals.
Yes, my integrity has been questioned many times. And again, 20 years as the elected prosecuting attorney making the decision for who gets charged with crimes and who doesn't, and taking everything to trial or working it out or doing something of that nature. It involved the exercise of a great deal of discretion, and not everybody agreed with it. So yes, I've had my integrity questioned many, many times, and I have always found that the best way to deal with that was to do what I believed was right, what I believed was consistent with my religious views, and just go forward doing the right thing. And that's always worked for me so far.
All right, we will conclude with the lightning round. Mr. Foster, do you believe that the current system for disciplining attorneys is adequate?
Yes.
Doralee?
No.
Doralee, have you ever worked on a political campaign?
No.
Mr. Foster?
I was the elected prosecutor for 20 years. Yes.
Just one word.
Yes.
Mr. Foster, have you regularly voted in primary and general elections?
Yes.
Ms. Doralee?
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Foster, you can close with 30 seconds. Anything that you'd like to say to the audience?
30 seconds really isn't enough time to say it, but I believe that your circuit judge, they do have the jurisdiction to do everything that a circuit court can do. I have touched every kind of case that can be heard in circuit court. Juvenile cases, domestic relations cases, death penalty cases. And even though right now 5th Division is juvenile court, that could change, like I said, within the next year. And like I say, there could be capital murder cases in there. And they're very technical, they're very difficult, seeking the death penalty or not seeking the death penalty. So I guess that would be my close, I'm told to stop, sorry.
Ms. Doralee.
I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come before you and answer the questions that are important to you all. I do want to say in closing that I'm committed and care about the juveniles. I care about reforming them, and I'm in it for the long haul. I can't tell you how I rule on a case, but I can make this pledge to you that I will be fair, that I will be respectful to all, that I will be committed to the juveniles, and that I will manage my budget as conservatively as possible.
All right, if we could give Ms. Doralee Chandler,